In this video, we are going to learn about the motor functions of stomach, that is gastric motility. First, let us learn about the functional anatomy of stomach. So, this picture shows the stomach with all the parts. So, first this is the fundus. Okay, this is the fundus and this is the body of the stomach, and this part is the antrum of the stomach, and this is the pylorus. So, in pylorus, the circular muscle that is surrounding the pylorus is thickened to form the pyloric sphincter. So, the opening of the stomach to the duodenum is guarded by the pyloric sphincter, and the opening of the stomach to the esophagus is guarded by the lower esophageal sphincter. So, lower esophageal sphincter guards the opening of the stomach to the esophagus, and it prevents the reflux of gastric contents from the stomach to the esophagus. Whereas pyloric sphincter guards the opening of the stomach to the duodenum, and it facilitates a slower rate of gastric emptying of contents that is feasible for the small intestine to digest and absorb the food nutrients. And this also shows the different muscle layers. Unlike the other parts of the intestine, gastrointestine, unlike the other parts of the intestine, stomach has 3 layers of muscle. So, this is the inner oblique muscle layer, and next is the circular muscle layer. This is the circular muscle layer, and outermost is the longitudinal muscle layers. So, it has 3 muscle layers in its wall. So, as you all know, the entire gastrointestinal system is lined by smooth muscle. So, this is the functional anatomy. But physiologically, the stomach is divided into 2 parts. One is proximal part and distal part. Proximal part makes the proximal 2/3 of the stomach, and the distal part forms the rest of the stomach. Okay, and this is the functional division, and the function of each part, that is the proximal part of the stomach and the distal part of the stomach, varies, as we will be seeing later. So, these 3 are the important motor functions of the stomach: the storage function, the mixing function, and the emptying function. Storage function is nothing but the reservoir function, that is the stomach receives the food as we ingest and stores it for some time until it is emptied into the small intestine for digestion and absorption to take place. And next is the mixing function, wherein the gastric contents are completely mixed with the gastric secretions, and ultimately a semi-fluid mixture is formed, which is called as chyme. And next is the emptying function, and gradually about a few milliliters of liquid chyme is emptied into the small intestine at a time. Okay, so these three are the main motor functions of the stomach. So we are going to see one by one. First, let us see about the storage function. So even before the food enters the stomach will dilate, especially the proximal part of the stomach will dilate. It is ready to receive the food. Okay, so the main function of the proximal part of the stomach is storage function, and this receptive relaxation is initiated by swallowing reflex. So, as we saw in the last class, as the food enters the pharynx and the esophagus, the esophageal distension will cause the proximal part of the stomach to relax, and that is called as receptive relaxation, and it is an anticipatory relaxation even before the food enters the stomach. Okay, and as the food enters the stomach, there is even more relaxation. The stomach dilates further with the stretching of the outer wall, and that the foods that is entering into the stomach, and that is called as gastric accommodation. Let us see how that happens. So, this is the stomach. So, as the food enters the stomach, already the receptive relaxation will cause a little relaxation of the proximal part of the stomach, and as the food enters the stomach, that will result in stretch of the stomach wall, and it will initiate a vagovagal reflex, wherein the afferents will reach the brainstem and the efferents will inhibit the tone in the smooth muscle that is lining the stomach wall, and as a result the stomach wall will dilate. The outer wall of the stomach will bulge out. That will facilitate accommodation of the greater and greater amounts of food that is entering into the stomach. So this storage function is mainly because of the vagovagal reflex that causes stretching of the decrease in the tone of the smooth muscle that is surrounding the stomach wall, resulting in dilatation of the stomach, and with complete relaxation the stomach can hold about 0.8 to 1 liters of contents within it. Okay, so the storage function is very, very important because we cannot dump the food that we eat directly into the small intestine, because in the small intestine lot of time is required for the digestion of proteins, fats and carbohydrates, especially the proteins and fats. Hence the food can be delivered only a few milliliters at a time into the small intestine. Okay, so till then the stomach acts like a bag, like it is actually a bag like structure that is going to store the contents until it is emptied into the small intestine, and hence storage function of the stomach becomes vital.